Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thanks for joining me. I'll be your astrologer this week. We're going to be taking a look at all of the astrological happenings that are taking place from today, July 24th through the 31st. Welcome guys. I kind of like look at what's going on this week and I'm like, all right, time to buckle up. I'm always going to keep it straight with you guys and let you know what we're going to be experiencing. The truth is that really from about this moment all the way through about mid-August, we're going to see some wild transits taking place. Part of it is because we have some unusual alignments. Part of it is also because we're in that halfway point between the eclipses that we had in the spring of this year and halfway to the next set of eclipses that we're going to be having in the fall. So this is the midpoint. We're checking in with Leo. This is the heart's desire. What do we want? What do we need? And always with Leo, there's a little bit of drama. So get ready for some plot twists, y'all. It's definitely expected in the week ahead. If you're new to my channel, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know where you're tuning in from, how you're feeling about this energy, and do consider subscribing or joining my memberships, or check out some of my live readings that I do on Saturday nights on the channel. Well, the week ahead, we've got a stellar new moon in Leo. It is going to be loud and proud, probably one of the more optimistic, positive new moons for really the rest of 2022. It's going to be in a trine to Jupiter in Aries, and Jupiter is stationing, so it is very strong. If you guys have not already seen my new moon in Leo video, check it out. I talk all about it and how it's going to affect each and every one of the 12 signs. Jupiter turns retrograde this month. That's going to be happening as well. Does that mean that the luck or positivity stops? Not necessarily. Things will slow down, but I think it gives us an opportunity to reflect on what direction we're going in, what do we believe, and how are we growing on a more personal level. We see the return of the fixed squares. So think back to what we were experiencing every single time we've seen the moon go through Leo, except now it's more action oriented because the sun is there. So we're going to see oppositions to Saturn and Aquarius, showing us some limits in some sense. And we're also going to see squares to the nodes. So we call that a fixed square, and it's uncomfortable. Fixed signs, they don't want to change. And the long anticipated conjunction of Mars, Uranus, and the North Node in Taurus. So it's like, oh boy, this is going to, like I said, this is going to be a very active week. From here on out, it's going to be lit. The buildup of energy is felt the strongest really from about today through mid-August. And when we get to mid-August, we're going to have that full moon in Aquarius, and it will be coupled up with Saturn. So the week starts off strong because there's quite a few positive aspects happening with that new moon. And as we build to the end of the month, we realize we have to make a change. We have to blast through something. We have to be willing to actually get active, not remain kind of complacent in our lives, and we have to take initiative. So we'll be talking a little bit about that during all of this segment, basically. So let's go ahead and start off first with today, Sunday the 24th. So we're going to see the moon in Gemini form a trine with Saturn. So this is an air trine. When the moon is in harmony with Saturn, we find it easier to emotionally relate. So it can be great for communication, ideas, solutions, and also anything in regards to like contracts. We're going to see that we're building off of the Mercury trine Jupiter. So we've had Mercury in Leo. It's been in a trine to Jupiter. Big ideas, big concepts, big meetings, and fire trines are always active. So I think with the moon here today, it's giving us the opportunity to follow through with that. Now, also today we see that Venus is in Cancer. It's in a square to Jupiter in Aries, so we can be overdoing it, overindulging, overspending, overeating, overloving. We can be a little too touchy-feely. So whenever we see squares between Venus, which represents relationships, values, anything that we're investing in, Venus in Cancer is like super sweet and it's very home-oriented, but I could see individuals overspending on home or family related things. So we're spending a lot of money for food. We're spending a lot of money for our cost of living. So we're feeling that squeeze, but we could overdo it, right? We could overeat, we could oversleep, we could overindulge. So watch for the impulsive actions. Be really careful because we can have a tendency to kind of bite off more than what we could chew. Then on Monday the 25th, we're going to see that Mercury comes into a square with Mars in the sign of Leo. So, Mercury is in Leo coming into a square with Mars and Taurus. Hello. So Mercury, the mind, the messenger, anything in relation to communications, travel, business. As Mercury forms this hard 90-degree angle to a debilitated Mars in Taurus, arguments are expected. Big egos, egos that are inflamed, exchanges that are a little heated. Keep in mind, like Mercury, when it's in the sign of Leo, is very boastful and it's very prideful, and it's about what the individual thinks. So it has a tendency to want to overpower things. When it comes into a square with Mars and Taurus, I have a feeling that both the 25th and the 26th are not the best days to have heart-to-heart conversations, not the best days to be rushing around. Keep in mind, Mercury rules vehicles. So we might see literal pileups, accidents taking place this week, not just because of the Mercury square Mars, but also we're going to see conjunctions between Mars and Uranus. So guys, I've heard across the board, I've heard from so many people in this last week, gas leaks, houses catching on fire, electrical fires, brush catching fire around their home. Somebody leaves a stove on, they leave a candle lit, and kaboom, or something catches fire. So please hear me on this. Be very careful if you're dealing with anything that's electrical, anything that involves an open flame. Don't be rushing around. Take your time. And save any of the important conversations not for the 25th or the 26th. I'll tell you guys what days can be better, but we don't want to do this while Mercury is in a square with Mars. This can also create frustration and limitation in actual travel and transportation. And many of us might be like trying to catch flights, trying to make sure that we're getting to places on time, and we're going to find that we may not necessarily make that happen. Now on the 26th, we're going to be seeing that the moon is going to come into conjunction with Venus in Cancer. So the moon comes home to her own natural sign as she's approaching the conjunction with Venus. You're going to feel it the 26th and the 27th, but you know, it will still be forming that square to Jupiter in Aries. So the moon conjunct Venus is lovely. It's very sweet. It's a great time for anything in terms of domestic stuff, spending time at home with family, redecorating, stuff like that. But because it squares Jupiter, individuals could overindulge. So we could find maybe you're placing a bid on a house, right? And you're like, I want the house so much that you're willing to pay over what its asking price might be. That's the literal kind of example that I can give from this. But it can also be that individuals, right, Jupiter and Aries, are having big feelings about their homeland, their resources, their family, their domestic zone, and people can just be really kind of feeling in their feelings as a result of this. So big feels expected on the 26th and the 27th. I would anticipate it's like a lot of people feeling like, no, you need to know how I feel. I need to tell you, or I need to talk to you about my past, where I come from. This can be very strong just in terms of people reflecting on the good times, and it gets them a little riled up and wanting to kind of stand up and tell people like how the world should be run, and just a lot of reflecting on how things used to be. Now on the 27th of the week, we're going to be seeing that the moon in Cancer moves into an opposition with Pluto in Capricorn. So ouch, emotions boil over, right? So when the moon stands in opposition to Pluto, the moon is feeling challenged or threatened. There is a sense of tension or obsession or something that's like rather uncomfortable. So I would say watch for that. We've seen quite a few oppositions recently between the Sun and Mercury to Pluto. Maybe it's just bringing up some of these subconscious tensions that are going on within us and the need to really combat fear. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting here. Now, the same day, Mercury and Leo trines, we have Chiron and Aries. So that's kind of maybe the outlet for some of this like emotional turmoil that can be happening. I feel like the Mercury trine Chiron is going to allow us to talk through our pain and be able to talk about it on a very personal level. Fire trines are action oriented. Leo is about creativity. So there's a lot of like talking to people about childhood issues, issues in terms of how we're communicating with our romantic partners, our children. Maybe putting our feelings into action and using that as the fuel to better express ourselves creatively. So painting, dancing, singing, sharing as a means for that outlet for some of that emotional tension that I anticipate will be coming up. Now this leads us to the 28th this week. This is going to be Thursday. We have a new moon in Leo. It's going to be at 5 degrees of Leo. Like I said, see my video, but I really feel like it's wonderful for creatives, people who want more romance, want more luck, they want to take a chance, and it's wonderful for people who want to start new hobbies or anything in relation to self-employment. Guys, A lot of people are realizing with some of these conjunctions in Taurus that they're working a job or living a life that does not feel in alignment, like it's not bringing them happiness, it's not bringing fulfillment on a heart level. So I think this new moon gives us the opportunity to start really examining what is going to make us happy, what do I need to learn, how do I get there, where do I need to go? And so it's just, yeah, it's really, really, really positive, especially considering that the next best moon is going to be happening at the end of November. We will see a Sag new moon that's going to trine Jupiter, but Jupiter will be retrograde. So as Jupiter is stationing this week, it's very strong, and likely when a planet stations, we start to kind of really see like what it's giving us. So more on that in that video. The same day on the 28th, Jupiter goes retrograde into the sign of Aries. So it will be turning retrograde from the 28th of July all the way until the 23rd of November. Now, Jupiter will dip back into Pisces briefly, and we will not see Jupiter return back into Aries until the second half of December. Frankly, I don't mind Jupiter in Aries. I think Jupiter has a stronger kind of emotional feeling, and there can be a lot more spiritual growth when it's in Pisces, but it loses boundaries. There's no boundaries. So there's like lots of empaths that are picking things up. There's lots of psychic stuff going on. There's also lots of issues with people in relation to viruses or illnesses. We see refugees, anything in regards to isolation. So I could go either way on it. I mean, I think that this Jupiter retrograde I'm looking forward to, because I feel like we might start to see the goodies this week. But then as Jupiter retrogrades back to that 3-degree mark, it will bring up that Jupiter-Mars conjunction that we had. We're going to see like a second act of like what we're getting started on. So don't fear the Jupiter retrograde. I think it's going to be fine, but I'll do a separate video on that. I want to kind of talk about that more in a sense of what we might see globally and in our own personal lives. So I'll be making that content in this next week. Then on the 29th, we are going to be seeing that we have a whole slew of things that start happening, the 29th, 30th, and 31st. So this is when you want to buckle up. The moon on the 29th will be in conjunction to Mercury in Leo. So we're communicating, we're talking about our feelings. Sun, moon, and Mercury in Leo, right? Very loud. It's very much about our own talent. It's going to be about youth and self-expression. This is very solar, so it's going to be very active. As the moon conjuncts Mercury, there is like a need to really communicate what's on our heart, and our heart and mind kind of get into alignment, right? Still receiving those trines from Chiron, so I love it. I feel like there's a way to communicate and express yourself while still kind of touching on the fact that, you know, there's something that needs to be healed. We're healing wounds from the past. However, the moon and the moon and Mercury are beginning to make an opposition to Saturn. So we're going to start to see this whole feeling of like, this is what I want to say, but I don't feel like it's going to be well received. Or this is what I think, but I don't think the timing is right. In all respect to Saturn, I feel like Uranus is going to kind of steal the show here for the end of the month. And it's going to say, screw the timeline. You know, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. There is no time other than today to get started on like actually making moves towards the future. So Saturn will still have his say. He'll still get some oppositions. He'll get some squares. But at the end of the day, Mars and the North Node in Uranus are basically saying we must move forward. The time is now, even if it doesn't line up with some of our timelines. So a lot of people are going to feel over this next month like, oh my God, I'm not ready, or I don't have enough time, or I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't know if I'm experienced enough. What do I do? Keep building off that new moon in Leo. Keep focusing on what you've been asking for, what you're hoping to achieve, and keep checking in with your heart space. But know that as the moon comes into conjunction with Mercury, you're going to feel like you have to say something, and it's going to be very important. Now, this is going to bring up the grand fixed cross pileup. And this is what I've been talking about all year. I kept saying, watch to the end of July and August, watch what happens, because it's almost like that's when we all have to kind of finally take a leap of faith. Now, it's going to be uncomfortable. I'm not going to candy coat it. I will probably touch on this a little bit more next week and talk a little bit about how some of these transits that are actually taking place now are setting the stage for giving us a preview of what this next full moon in Aquarius is going to give us in mid-August. When you have fixed crosses, you know, you've heard the term like it's my cross to bear, right? I gotta carry this. I gotta be the one to handle it. I gotta be the one to make the sacrifice. It's kind of like a four-way stop, and not all not all energies can go at one time. So you have to stop, yield, look to your left, look to your right, wait until it's your turn. We've been working through this really since the better part of like February, when we had a ton of planets that were in Aquarius. So there was an emphasis on our goals, there was an emphasis on our friendships, on limitations, on whether or not we felt like we can have fun. And now we come into Leo season, and it's like, well, what have we done with that time? I guess the silver lining here is, I think this whole year has been about making lemonade. It really goes back to 2021. Making lemonade. What have we done while the world has been shut down? What have we been creating? How has that given us time to really think about what makes us happy? What hobbies have we kind of building, or side hustles behind the scenes? And like now it's showtime. So when all these planets come into Leo, it's like, okay, this is my talent. This is what I'm doing. And this is going to be a real test for a lot of people in this next month, to see like if your values and your creative abilities are in alignment, and if you're really walking the walk and talking the talk. Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, all financial placements. These deal with our personal values. Taurus, our food and our resources. Leo deals with speculative stuff like stock markets and investments. Scorpio deals with debt, anything relating to money that's owed to us, or paying things off, or anything in regards to like inheritances. And then we've got Saturn and Aquarius, which deals with like the collective energies. So all through last year, we've seen Saturn squaring with Uranus. I personally believe it's been certain, political figures or parties or, governments that have been trying to rein in financial freedom, trying to hinder people from being able to break through, trying to limit their ability to have control of resources and feel financial security, right? So this is where all hell kind of breaks loose. And we've seen it happen throughout the world. We're seeing what's going on in Europe. We're seeing what's happened in Sri Lanka. We're seeing what's happening everywhere. People are finally standing up. They've had enough. So what will happen throughout August is going to be a lot of individuals who are going to choose how they are going to push back on this. Some people's way of doing it is protesting. Other people's way of doing it is going to be activist type work. It's going to be supporting younger people. It's going to be creating art and music and finding ways to inspire other people to not give up, right? So regardless of how you do that, we're all going to see that kind of pan out. And I think with the square that we're going to see from both the moon and Mercury to Mars, Uranus, and the North Node, the North and the South Node, is about how we respond to changes, right? How we respond to things that make us uncomfortable. And it's going to bring up a lot of stuff for people in regards to how they feel about raising their children, how you feel on an inner child level, if this is bringing up some themes for you where you realize you haven't really dealt with the inner child stuff very well. And likely when we see these squares, it's uncomfortable, right? But change usually is. Now, when we see the Mercury moon in Leo make its opposition to Saturn in Aquarius, we're going to feel like it's us, the individual, our happiness, our joy, our personal freedom, our talents versus others. So we want to watch for comparison. We want to watch for not keeping up with the Joneses, for feeling like we need to one up other people, or we're trying to, compete with what other people are putting like out on social media. It may also bring about this feeling of not sharing similar opinions or values, right? And everybody's going to have an opinion. You want to be careful for, going tit for tat with people or back and forth with people, because it's likely going to create some conflict and we're going to see some arguments. I also anticipate that when the moon comes into conjunction with Mercury and it opposes Saturn, there is this pushback that's going to be coming from the youth of the world, this pushback from artists, and where we have seen in February of this year that it was all about the truckers and them really kind of holding space for freedom and control over our bodies. Then this last couple of months, it's all been about the banking systems. It's also been a lot about farmers, right? That's Taurus. The next wave is going to be creative. So creative people are going to start putting out art, putting out videos, putting out poetry, publishing things, anything in relation to being able to say, this is what I've done with the pain. This is what I've done with the limitation. And I feel like it can be really helpful for inspiring other people. However, on an individual level, it's going to feel like we don't really know if we should share, if we should hold back, or we know we're going to have conversations with friends or with others that they may not receive well. So also not a great communication day, not with the squares and the oppositions, unfortunately, not this day. All right, so then we move to the 30th of this week, which will be Saturday. This is when Venus in Cancer begins to square Chiron in Aries. Venus in Cancer, right? Reminiscent, really soft, sensitive, kind of homey, let's stay home, bake cookies type of thing, coming into a square with Chiron and Aries. So it's an opening square. So since, we had Venus's conjunction to Chiron, now this is the opening phase where it's like, okay, well, how are we reflecting on the past? And I think that it's going to bring up like hurt feelings and this tendency to really need to tend to wounds that are being opened that relate to the past. So there can be a sense of like rehashing the past, bringing the past up, talking about where the past has affected you. If you are a Venus ruled chart, you're probably going to feel this a whole lot stronger. So watch out, Taurus and Libra placements. Then on the 31st, this is like the big firework day. We got a lot going on here. We've got, I guess I'll start with the sweet, right? Sun in Leo, trine Jupiter in Aries. Jupiter's retrograde, but don't worry about that. It's a Sun trine Jupiter, which is like breaking through, confidence, optimism, expansion. Like it's a really positive transit. Sudden change of fate is kind of the feeling that I'm getting. It's a lucky day with that fire trine, lots of action and good fortune. But in the background, we have Mars coming into conjunction with Uranus and the North Node. Physical, dramatic, financial changes. This is going to be felt the strongest from the 31st of July all the way through August the 11th. But to be honest with you, whatever happens in our own personal lives or out in the world, likely it's going to be some kind of an eruption. It's going to be something that comes out of the blue. It's very sudden, and it will be seen and it will be felt because it's in the sign of Taurus. So I think of like volcanic eruptions, I think of earthquakes, I think of actual explosions, right? Uranus deals with air traditionally because it's the ruler of Aquarius, and being in an earth sign, I'm looking for tornadoes, I'm looking for windstorms, I'm looking for electrical issues, power outages, anything in relation to how extreme weather is affecting our financial security or also affecting our food. Now, we're hearing this narrative out in the world right now, the climate crisis, this, that, and the other. I'm not a scientist. All I'm gonna say is reading the astrology, seeing that this is being squared by Saturn in Aquarius is, it could be generated, it could be artificial, it could be a result of manipulating the weather, it could be a result of other things that are being used to push a certain political narrative to then in turn really limit our ability to have freedom. I think we're going to hear more about carbon taxes. I think we're going to hear more about tracking and logging, how much we're eating, how much we're spending, and trying to create this incentive to get people to use less energy, travel less, the list goes on. But this will be the start of a new 15-year cycle. So the North Node and Uranus, they meet about every 15 years, give or take, and it will take time to fully unfold. So the last conjunctions that we had were the North Node Uranus conjunction in Pisces, and yeah, more will be revealed when we see the 18 degrees of Taurus reactivated throughout August, because the sun will square that. When we have the eclipses in the fall, because we're actually going to have an eclipse, we're going to have a lunar eclipse in Taurus that will be conjunct this degree around midterm elections, November 8th, 2022. And eventually the riches or the expansion or the blessings that come from this conjunction will materialize, I believe, in the spring of 2024 when Jupiter aligns with this degree, and Uranus will still be there. They'll be hovering around 18 to 25 degrees of Taurus. So yeah, I mean, it's going to mean a different thing for everyone. I feel like this is probably, outside of the eclipses and the return of the Saturn-Uranus square, the biggest event astrologically in all of 2022. So some of you guys are going to look around and go, what the hell is going on? We don't have eclipses. We're not in a Mercury retrograde. Like, what the heck? It's this energy that is building. So from the 31st of the month all the way through the 11th, slow down, be careful, realize that actions are going to have consequences, because some of these conjunctions will then come into a square with Saturn. Mars is going to come into a square with Saturn. So I want you guys to really think that through, realize that some of the things that are taking place are meant to literally blast through roadblocks and allow us to really move forward. And unfortunately, whenever we see squares like this, it can represent crisis, right? And when I see conjunctions to the North Node, it means everybody's going through something collectively to be able to orchestrate a change and move us into the future. When I see squares to the nodes, like Saturn's in a square to the nodes, like we're going to see Mercury and the Sun in a square to the nodes, it's saying like we have to integrate that planet theme in order to be able to better deal with the North and South nodes. So we've got karmic repercussions from the past happening. We're doing things right now that's also going to have an effect down the road. And many of us are going to be like, this is where I've been. I don't know if I want to be there anymore. This is where I want to go. But how do I deal with what's happening right now? Grounding your guys' energy is so important. Eating well, focusing on spending time in nature, really taking time to also limit your connections to electronics, powering things down, consciously taking time to not be on your phone, eating a healthy diet. And these are things that you can do. North Node in Taurus is about embodiment. How does your body feel? And with Uranus and Taurus, many of our nervous systems are just totally stressed out because we've been living in this like twilight zone the last couple of years of just one plot twist after another. So likely there's going to be some explosive events around the world, figuratively and literally. It can materialize as real possible threats of war because Mars does rule the planet. It is the planet of war. But it's debilitated. So we're going to find that the war is more so on finances. The war is on food. The war is on farmers. And you guys are going to have to get off your ass and you're going to have to actually create change. There's no easy way around it. It's just, it is what it is. You want more on that, you want to know more about how it's going to affect the 12 signs. I am going to touch on that at the end of this video. I will let everybody know. I've been saving this. I did a video where I did a one-on-one with another reader. I did a whole video where I was talking about what this conjunction might mean. And I've been waiting to talk about where it's going to affect all of the 12 signs. But I did do a live 3-hour long webinar about how it's going to affect the world, each of the 12 signs, intuitive and practical insight on how to navigate these turbulent times. I'll put the link if you guys would like to pick that up. It's actually on sale. I'm trying to get it out there so people who missed it can still listen to it so that way they're prepared for this transit. All right, so let's get into how this is going to affect each and every one of the 12 signs. I'm going to pull a tarot card and I'm going to let you know which house in your horoscope this is taking place in. So what area of your life will be most affected. As always, I'm a Western whole sign reader. So this is going to be for Western astrology. And I want you guys to listen to your rising first. That's going to tell you where in your life this is taking place. Then I want you to listen to the sun, which is going to be more about your personal goals and also your career. And the moon can be helpful because it talks about your home life or how you relate to other people. So who's going to be affected the most? Everyone. Everyone. No one really gets a pass on this one. You know, like I said, planets that are on the North Node means that we're moving forward into the future. Planets square the nodes means we're all going to experience collective changes. Remember, the nodes of the moon represent everyone, right? What's going on with everybody. But specifically, 17 to 19 degrees of the fixed signs, especially Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Rising. This is going to affect you the most. Followed by Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. So if you have 17 to 19 degrees, Sun, Moon, or Rising, it's going to be most active because these actual conjunctions or squares are happening in some of your angular houses. So you're going to see it physically affect other areas of your life. Now, 17 to 19 degrees of Virgo and Capricorn, you're going to experience trines. So there's going to be sudden changes. There can be sudden breakthroughs. It can actually be quite wonderful for you. And 17 to 19 degrees of Cancer and Pisces, you'll be experiencing sextiles from this energy, which means you really want to pay attention to how is that positively affecting you. And I'll talk about where it's going to affect each and every one of the 12 signs, but you guys can really benefit because it can be something that kind of opens the floodgates and makes other things possible in your life. All right, so today I'm working with the Bosch Tarot. I'm just going through my tarot trunk basically, and I was like, I need to find the weirdest, most Uranian deck possible. This is what I came up with. Yeah, so I haven't used this yet on the channel. It's interesting. The back says, this deck is an opening of a window into the unconscious sphere of human beings through dreamlike symbolism by the great Flemish painter. So I wanted to pull this deck out. I thought it would be a fun one to work with. Very Uranian, right? All right, so listen for your sun, moon, rising, but rising is going to be, I think, the most important, and this is where you're going to get the most out of my predictions. For Aries and Aries rising, this Uranus-Mars North Node conjunction is taking place in your second house. In Aries, this is important because Mars is your chart ruler. So you got to pay attention to what's going on with Mars. Well, your second house, money, resources, values, self-esteem, your spending power. Likely you're going to be breaking through, leveling up, and meeting your financial goals. It may not be pretty. It may be because you join another group of people. It may be because you realize that suddenly you got to kind of break off from what you have been doing in order to be able to start paving the way towards getting to where you want to go. So it can be quite turbulent for you, Aries. I'm going to be really honest with you. And you can see lots of like ups and downs and some crazy stuff that's happening. But with the North Node going through your second, you're learning how to be more self-sustainable, whether that's growing your own food or focusing on cryptocurrencies, or maybe you're just focusing on being able to build yourself up. So you're really starting to earn the money that you know that you deserve, you know? The card that I got for you is the Star. I think this is about help and support still coming for you from some of your friends, and I get the impression that this is like about making your dreams come true, and it may be this moment where you're like, it's now or never. If I'm going to do this, I need to do this now. So be careful, because there can be sudden movements that you could be making financially where you're like, okay, this is a really good idea, I'm going to spend this, and then there's some kind of repercussion. This is reminding you of Saturn, although the Star card does talk about how things are healed and how things get better after a chaotic time. All right, so now we've got Taurus and Taurus rising. Taurus, this is really important because it's happening in your sign. Pay attention. Now, your first house for a Taurus rising is how you embrace the world. It's how people see you. So some of you guys, I mean, everybody should be watching their body. Watch what's going on with your body, because that is your ascendant. But it can be about how you dress. It can be a dramatic change with your hair. Some people are going to want to cut their hair off. Other people are going to suddenly want to get a nose ring, or they want to have a flashy new wardrobe. Something is going to change here. And it's not necessarily bad, but like I said, watch the body, because you're also having these eclipses that have been happening in your first house as well. Now, because it involves Uranus, likely it's like you wanting to have more authority, wanting to have more freedom. I could see this as you suddenly shifting gears and being like, that's it, I want to be my own boss. I'm not getting along with who I'm working with. And it's really important that you're not rushing around, Taurus. You're more accident prone with this conjunction. Really hear me on this. Because Mars rules your 12th house, it's incredibly important that you're not doing anything that could land you in the hospital, because you could have a broken bone, an injury, suddenly need surgery, these kinds of things. Don't rush around. As long as you're aware, you're going to be okay. Support your nervous system. That's really important. And use your intuition to guide you, because you're starting to pick up on subtle forces that are going on spiritually and energetically around you. And if you're using your intuition, you can better navigate some of these more challenging times. The card that I get for you is the Two of Pentacles. So this is saying weighing your options. It's like, you know that you have to probably be showing up, being responsible at work. You know that you're supposed to be probably focusing on getting grounded and being stable. You're kind of going back and forth. Maybe it's really tiring on your body if you're working overtime. Some of you guys I know are trying to like run your own business, launch your own thing. At the same time, you're still working for other people, and you're like, I don't know if I can handle all of this. Slow down. Two of Coins is saying you can do both, but it's important not to totally overload your schedule with this conjunction. For Gemini and Gemini rising, you've got Uranus, Mars, and the North Node all meeting in the sign of Taurus in your natal 12th house. This is about psychic insights, foreign travel, spiritual pursuits, and tuning into your dreams. Likely, dreams are going to be guiding you. There is a need for you to be either dancing or moving this energy out of your body, right? Uranus can be energy, to better kind of navigate what's going on. Now, many Gemini risings are going to be very affected by this, because the 12th house is the masses, and it's about what you're absorbing from the collective. So you just might feel totally wiped out, maybe more empathic than usual, and picking stuff up from other people. Watch for dreams that can be precognitive. You might start seeing things. You might have trouble sleeping. There can be some disturbances going on with being able to rest, or you're really stressed out, or you're worried about resources. But if you're leaning more so into your spiritual pursuits, if you're learning more about culture or travel, or maybe you're learning something related to like the esoteric arts, maybe you're learning astrology, it can be something that actually calms you down. The card that I got for you, Gemini, is the Seven of Swords. Not surprised. Mars rules your 11th house. And I have a feeling that this could also be like a falling out with a friend, and you could find out that like somebody who you thought was your friend wasn't your friend, and it could kind of surprise you, and you're like, what? And then you decide you got to cut them loose. Seven of Swords is, what did I leave behind? What am I forgetting? Or what doesn't seem right? Like something smells fishy. Something's off. It might be something that you can't trust. You might be going back and forth like, can I trust my intuition? Can I not? Watch for anything that seems off. And if there's any characters in your life or anybody that you're feeling like you're not entirely sure that you can trust, or you have this feeling that's like something is up, something is fishy. I don't like saying that, but this can be the card of deception. So you want to watch for that, okay? Especially with money, I guess I should say that. Being that it's happening in Taurus, like if somebody's like, just wire me the funds or just give me the deposit or whatever, especially if it's somebody you haven't done business with, watch for scams in regards to that, because that's definitely how this could materialize. For Cancer and Cancer rising, you've got the Uranus-Mars North Node conjunction taking place in your natal 11th house. So this is about goals, friends, associations, networks. I feel like for you, Cancer, this is finding friends in high places. Working with others to achieve a common goal, maybe meeting friends that are a little bit higher in society, a little classier, people who can actually connect you to other people that can really help you expand in your career, because Mars is the ruler of your 10th house. Now, it's also the ruler of your 5th, which deals with creativity. So if you're a creative, getting out there, kind of mingling, meeting some of these new people is wonderful. Uranus is strange and unusual. So you might be meeting people who are a little different than what you're used to being around. Some people will be foodies. Some people will be in big tech or money or investments. Other people are going to be gardeners or farmers. It really depends on what you do, but just know that there's lots of support that's coming from new friendships, and it's important for you to be connecting with these new groups of people, because it's going to be opening things up and making it possible for you to expand in your professional life. So let's see what the cards have to say for you, Cancer. The Ace of Pentacles. Yeah, this is great. Investors. I wonder if this is going to be investors. I wonder if this is people who are saying like, that's a great idea, let me help you do it. This is a guarantee that seeds are being planted to bring you more money, bring you more resources, bring you more stability. So share your ideas with people, talk to them about what you're doing, get them interested, and possibly you're going to find there is a new financial opportunity as a result of this. For Leo and Leo rising, you have this Uranus-Mars North Node conjunction taking place in your natal 10th house. Now, the 10th house deals with career. Okay, Leo, I know this is a lot for you this month, and I have to say, I'm sending you lots of good vibes, as everybody, but Leo and Leo risings, they need to be protected at all costs this month. For you, Leo, this is in your career zone. So you've got Mars, which is associated with aggression, courage, being a little bit more combative, or just maybe feeling like you're a little bit more competitive in the workspace, meeting with Uranus, which is the ruler of the 7th. So this gives you the opportunity for big career changes ahead, stepping into a new position in this world. But likely, Leo, you have to fight for it, right? You have to fight for it. I don't mean physically, because watch out, there can literally be tiffs that you can have with a boss or with a parent. But you're going to have to fight for your place in this world. There is a need for you to keep fighting to reach the top, even if you're feeling like you don't have support of family, if you feel like you don't have support of partners. This is a moment in time where you really shift gears and you're like, you know what? Nobody's going to do this unless I do this for myself, and you really pick yourself up by the bootstraps. I know you're going through it in terms of some friendship or romantic relationship dynamics. I also know that there's lots changing in your home life, but there can be an opportunity for you work-wise that allows you to relocate. There can be the beginning process of you getting ready to launch something new with your career, and you're really adamant and determined to get to the top. And so I think that this is the moment, right? The North Node only goes through your 10th house about every 18 to 20 years. with that happening with the conjunction with Uranus, it wants to free you. So guess what? Some of you guys, you're going to find out there's layoffs at work. I'm not going to lie. Some of you guys are going to find out that bosses are leaving, things are getting cut, and it's kind of staticky, but it's the beginning process of you getting ready to have more independence in regards to your career. It's also aligning you with new potential business partnerships. And some of you guys are having status changes because Uranus rules your 7th. So some of you guys are like, I was single, now I'm married. I was self-employed, now I work for somebody else. These things are very common. And just hang tight, hang in there. See what the cards say for you. The card that I get is the 8 of Swords. You're like, I'm stuck, what do I do? This is mental limitations. So I could see some of you guys being like, what do I do if I don't have a job anymore? Who am I in this world if I'm not doing this for a living? It's mental restrictions, limitations, feeling like you have a lot of fear revolving around like not being able to break out of old identities. For some of you guys, I think it's literal status changes in terms of like what you do for a living, and you're realizing that you need to do something else and you have to kind of learn to pivot. But all Leo season is really about you realizing what you need, and it's going to rub either bosses or relationships or family members the wrong way, but this is the time for you to really stand up, okay? Sending you lots of good vibes, Leo. For Virgo and Virgo rising, you have this Mars North Node Uranus conjunction taking place in your natal 9th house. Now, it's in a fellow Earth sign, so you are going to be supported, Virgo. Your 9th house, philosophy, education, travel, publishing, legal stuff. I see this as you upgrading your faith, upgrading your education, and transformation as a result of culture or places that you travel to. So some of you guys may be going back to school, completing programs, learning astrology, teaching something, publishing your first book. Some of you guys are going to be teaching arts or anything in relation to art, or maybe you're learning more about art, and bringing in new tools, I think, to better help support you when it comes to your life in general. Love can be found at a distance with some of these transits as well. So just keep in mind that with these transits happening, it's somehow trying to get you to expand your mind or quite literally go to faraway places. So let's take a look and let's see. I get the King of Cups. I had a feeling, because I know, Uranus rules your 6th house. So it's about coworkers, where you're working, how you're working. Some of you guys might be going to training events. Some of you guys might be just learning new skills to add to your toolbox. But I have a feeling for some Virgos, it's like, am I suddenly meeting somebody and falling in love, but they live somewhere else? Am I suddenly changing my mind in terms of how I feel about how the world works and my belief system? And you're learning to kind of lean into a new philosophy, which is allowing you to be more emotionally vulnerable. So the King of Cups can be really great for that, mastering your emotions. For some of you guys, it can be help that comes under the guise of a water sign. So look for a Scorpio or a Pisces, or possibly even a Cancer who can help you with this process. Now we've got Libra and Libra rising. You have got this Mars North Node Uranus conjunction in the sign of Taurus happening in your natal 8th house. Oof, Scorpio. I mean, hello, Libra. Scorpio and Libra. You guys are both getting it, but Libra. This is a bit bittersweet. So going through your 8th house, the 8th house deals with partners' resources, joint resources, anything in regards to taxes, inheritances, and also passive income. That's the other way that I'm seeing this, because Uranus rules your 5th house, so it can be finding ways to maybe use the stock market to make more passive income, using a hobby to make more passive income. But there's ups and downs to this. Many Libra and Libra risings, you've seen this, that there's lots of inconsistencies over the last couple of years when it comes to your partner's money. And I feel like you can create more passive income. There can be opportunities for inheritances. There can be opportunities for sudden payoffs, sudden turns of fate. Maybe something you invested in suddenly skyrockets and it goes like to the moon, and you're like, oh my goodness, what do we do? And it suddenly changes the future of your life because your partner has a sudden payoff, or you have a sudden payoff, or you end up getting like a tax refund, something that really just changes your financial situation. Now, Uranus rules your 5th, so there can also be lots of changes in regards to your relationship with romantic partners. There can be sudden pregnancies that can happen from this conjunction, and Mars rules your 7th house. So I do feel like for you, it's about how through these turbulent times, you're learning to go deeper into relationships and have more stability with others, be careful with investments, Libra. That's the one thing that I would say. It's not a time to be taking any chances. 8th house can be dealing with losses, so be careful with whose advice you take, also in terms of anything in regards to the markets. So let's see what the cards say for you, Libra. I get the Magician. Maybe things that you've been manifesting, and I've seen this for like a lot of Libra risings. It's like manifesting and you're like, you think something's going to happen and you're about to break through, but you don't. You think it's going to go and then it doesn't. The Magician is saying focus on what you're manifesting. Realize that you have all the tools possible to be able to generate more income, to be able to kind of create this magical life and the things that you're really hoping to achieve. But this can also be almost like a used car salesman where it's like it looks too good to be true. So watch out for like, you know, get rich quick schemes. I would say you want to avoid that, and just be really focused on, you know, this card teaches you like as above, so below. So you have to think about it, manifest it, you know, really see it, feel it, and work with all the elements before it shows up. Maybe for some of you guys, your dreams are coming true. Scorpio and Scorpio rising. Hold on to your shorts, Scorpio. Things are about to get wild. You have got the Mars North Node Uranus conjunction happening in your natal 7th house. Now, Mars rules your chart, so wherever Mars is going, it can be symbolic of you. Scorpio, 7th house, marriage. So it's your marriage partner, it's your business partner, whoever you're doing business with, because it's in the sign of Taurus. It can also be about just one-on-one partnerships in general. It's a bit kind of wonky, right? Because Uranus is there, so you've seen lots of inconsistencies with relationships the last couple of years. People come, people go, but people have been showing up into your life the last 2 years because they're part of your growth. So people who are going to be around for some time. However, if you are partnered with someone, they can be a little erratic, and there's this feeling that they need more freedom. So you might need to kind of do things differently in your love life. You might need to focus more on making real significant changes. If there has been a lot of bends going on and tension in relationships, this can be that severing. So people who have been ready to separate, ready to divorce, ready to go their separate ways may do so. On the flip side, it can be a breakthrough that you have with another person that allows you to go deeper into relationships. Now, Uranus rules your 4th. Likely that change in relationships also requires a change with you emotionally or a change within your home. So many of your partners need more freedom. They want out of the house, they want to move, and you're going to be like, what do I do with this? But Mars is in conjunction here, and you are Mars. So you're riling your partner up, I hate to say that, or you're stimulating something in other people that's going to get them to either kind of like be in or be out. And you can be very passionate, you can be very intense, and I feel like when it comes to partners, just be mindful that the 7th house is anybody, not just relationships. So you can deal with some combative individuals, people who can be quite argumentative or just a little bit chaotic. Big relationship shifts within the home, family, and partnerships, but also the opportunity for a fresh new start and uprooting yourself from where you have been living or what your past relationship has been like. Be careful with stress between partners and family. Likely, if there is any stress between relationships, you want to keep an eye on that. Make sure they're not spending too much time alone. It may not even be you that experiences the crisis because it's other people. And Mars rules also your 6th house of Aries. So your partner could have a health issue. They could have an accident. They could get into a car accident. They could get into an argument or a fist fight with someone. Like literally, it's very combative. So watch for that. Keep an eye on that. And yeah, it's just kind of an anything goes for you, Scorpios. So let's take a look and let's see what can happen here. Okay, I get the Fool. The Fool is the card of Uranus, so it's taking chances, and it's basically being like, okay, I have not been one to jump into relationships, but I'm gonna do it. Or, you know what, you're right, let's up and move, let's relocate. It's basically saying that you have to take a chance, right? You have to believe that anything is possible. You have to be willing to kind of put your doubts aside and be like, okay, let's do it. Some of you guys, this might be the push that you need to like level up to the next level in a relationship. And like sometimes a good argument or something can really kind of clear the air. But be optimistic and hope for the best, because likely it's all going to pan out. But you're having to turn over a new leaf and do something different. Okay. Sag and Sag rising. We have got a Mars North Node Uranus conjunction taking place in your natal 6th house. The 6th house deals with coworkers, deals with your health, your daily routine, your diet. It also deals with accidents. Sag, you're also prone to accidents, so be careful. I'm anticipating health changes, diet changes, self-employment themes, stuff that can come up with pets' health. Taurus is your 6th house, so I think it's also about diet, and Uranus rules your 3rd, so I think it's about the way that you communicate your daily routine. Maybe you're updating softwares, new calendars, maybe you're trying to find a way to do more work remotely. Maybe you're trying to expand your business or hire people so you can have more free time and focus more on you. Regardless, the way that you communicate with people seems to be really important. Now, I'm not going to candy coat it. You got eclipses going on in your 6th house. You've also got, this conjunction in your 6th house. Guys, don't be texting and driving. Don't be talking on the phone and driving. Be very careful. There can be issues in regards to vehicles and also vehicles having problems or actual accidents. Pay attention to your health. There can be health challenges, especially anything in regards to the diet, fevers, the stomach, the thyroid, anything in regards to the vocal cords. These things can be coming up for you, which can present some real issues with your ability to get work done. At the end of the day, though, I think it's to kind of bring your attention to your health so that way you're not overworking, and maybe you're going to find new solutions and ways to bring in tech to be able to better manage your health. And self-employment might be a theme. Some of you guys might be like, you know what, I'm finally starting my own business. I see that a lot with Uranus going through the 2nd house, and this might be the precipice of you really getting the show on the road with that. All right, so let's take a look. The card that I got for you is the Knight of Cups. I love it. Knight of Cups makes me feel like you're leading with your passions. You're leading with your heart. Maybe you're like, I really, really, really love to cook, or I really love, painting or anything in regards to creative work, or maybe you want to learn how to get more into beauty or wellness. I'm thinking of like Taurus things. And this is something that you really enjoy, and you're like, in order for me to do more of this, I have to make changes in my schedule, I have to learn something, but you're really going with what's in your heart and what you're feeling you want to have more of in your daily routine. So follow that. It might be with the help of a water sign, so I could see like a Cancer or a Scorpio or a Pisces that kind of help you with this process. And it might be something that also kind of calms your mind. That's what I'm thinking with the conjunction of your 3rd house Lord, okay? For Capricorn and Capricorn rising, you have got a Mars North Node Uranus conjunction taking place in a fellow sister sign, Taurus, in your natal 5th house. Capricorn! Oh man, let me put it this way. If you're trying to get pregnant, it could happen. If you are looking to do like surrogacy, or if you're looking to do like in vitro or adoption, that could happen. Uranus is strange and unusual, right? And I could see with the North Node and Mars being there that you're like, oh my gosh, like we're going to do it. We're going to have a kid, or we're going to suddenly find out we're pregnant. I've seen that for a lot of Capricorn risings this year. Pregnancy, romance, happiness, falling in love, new talents that are kind of coming to the surface. I also feel like you need more art in your life. You might start collecting art. You might start investing in art. That might be something that interests you. You might start crafting more. That's the other way that I could look at it. These might start as hobbies, but they might actually expand into something you end up doing more of. Any business that involves children or playtime is also really important. I think pregnancy or children, your children, if you got kids already, could be kind of acting wacky and kind of acting up. That's possible as well. But whatever it is, many of you guys are going to find something that you fall in love with, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I need more of this. Now, if you're single, then all hell, you might meet somebody suddenly that's very unusual than what you're usually attracted to, that just totally kind of steals your heart. And it ends up being this like whirlwind, romance type of situation. Guys, playing lottery, gambling. These are things that can be done in fine amounts. Keep in mind, you're going to see squares to Saturn, which is in your 2nd house. So we don't want to bet the house on anything, but taking a chance and doing some of these things can actually bring you some big rewards. So I would say if that's something that you can do, consider doing it. I don't know. I feel like it's really good for Capricorn though. So let's see what the cards say for you. Getting creative within the home though, maybe a craft room, or maybe, a child or a lover inspires you to want to do more of that stuff and they're like your muse. I get the 8 of Swords. So once again, there's fear. There's fear with breaking through and doing something different. I have to tell you, I don't pick favorites, but this is going to be really, really good for Capricorn. It's going to be good for Taurus too. But it's really good for Capricorn. And I feel like this is the time to break out of any fears that you have of being authentic and showing your talents and being creative. It's time. You don't want to break the bank, right? So I'm not telling you to go and do anything crazy when it comes to your hobbies. Saturn's going to keep you in check. So you can't be jumping all in and buying a bunch of stuff to support a new hobby. You want to sample it and see what you like and what really brings out your inner artist. But I think the Eight of Swords is like where there's fear revolving around self-expression, fear around showing love, giving love. But there's a big shift happening for you right now, Capricorn, with the planets in your 8th house. That's telling you that you need more of that to better kind of open up and bring you all the love that you deserve. So be willing to kind of let your guard down and be willing to work through this mentally and not limit yourself mentally. Okay. Aquarius rising. Like Scorpio and Leo and Taurus, you are in the hot seat, Aquarius. You have got a Mars North Node Uranus conjunction taking place in Taurus in your 4th house of home and family. This is important because it is your chart lord that is in the mix. You've got Uranus, your modern day ruler, in your 4th house, stirring things up. There's craziness in the family. Maybe you're not getting along with a roommate. Maybe you're wanting to relocate. Maybe there's tiffs with just people who you're kind of living with. And it's squaring, and it's been squaring for a year, Saturn in your sign. So you have seen that your boundaries have been tested, your ability to rely on yourself has been tested, and now it's like it's all coming back home to roost as you have this conjunction in your 4th house. Some of you guys will break with family traditions. Some of you guys will have some sudden thing happen in the house. You're more prone to finding out that an aunt or an uncle are, relocating, or that parents are divorcing. You're more likely also to have situations where you are more prone to having electrical issues, fire issues, things like that in your house. So be careful. But the Uranus going through your 4th house, I feel like is really saying that if you've been unwilling to deal with family drama or to fix something in the house or to pick up and move, this is pushing things through. If you're in an area where you're more prone to natural disasters, earthquakes, things like that, be prepared. Look to have energy, backups, batteries, lights, generators. I know this sounds crazy, but you're going to be more likely to experience power outages or issues in the city that you're living in. This also might be this feeling that there's something chaotic that's going on in your home country, okay, or with family, it just depends. But home changes, new locations, uprooting, more independence, everything's going to really kind of challenge your sense of authority and your boundaries. So you need to kind of be on your toes. You're seeing planets go through your going through your 7th house in Leo. So it's going to be how you and a partner handle things in time of crisis. And you want to be working together and supporting each other through this time. But it can be a moment where you start new traditions. I don't want it to be all doom and gloom, but you're starting something new, and that means you have to uproot the past. I also get the Knight of Cups. Following your heart, focusing on your heart's desire, the ability to really lean into what maybe feels like home, or where you're feeling drawn to. Some of you guys are like, I don't want to be here anymore. This isn't home anymore. Or I don't even want to be in a home. I want to be in a motor home. I want freedom. That could be Uranus in your 4th. Wanting to be close to nature, trading in your penthouse apartment for going and buying a cabin in the woods. I mean, literally, many of you guys want to be around community that's living more sustainably, and you're craving nature. So you might be feeling like you're being called to certain places that really kind of feels like home, even if it's very foreign to where you've been. Good vibes for you, Aquarius. And now we've got Pisces and Pisces rising. We've got Uranus, Mars, North Node, all in conjunction in your natal 3rd house. This deals with vehicles, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, your neighborhood, right? It can also be about how you're getting around. It can be dealing with languages, what you're learning. Now, in the sign of Taurus, I think some of you guys are really interested in just teaching yourselves more about financial freedom and learning the ins and outs of what's going on financially in the world. Maybe cryptocurrency, maybe it's just about how to invest your money or how to be more mindful of what you're spending. Maybe you're using apps to be able to do that. Some of you guys are also focusing on making an income while you're working online or being able to teach something. I could see shifts in vehicles, especially electric vehicles. And you also, similar to Sag, need to be careful while you're driving. That Mars-Uranus conjunction is in your 3rd house. So whether it's you driving around town or going on a long distance trip, really make sure that all of your electrical stuff in your car is good, that there's no issues there, and that it is stable. But some of you guys might go, that's it, I'm selling my car, I'm getting rid of it, I'm getting a bike, or I'm getting a Tesla. I could see changes in language where you're thinking about like learning a new language because you may be relocating, or maybe it's just something that you're interested in and you're learning new books. Learning astrology, learning tarot is really good for this as well. Watch for lots of changes with your siblings. There could be some like chaotic stuff going on with your neighbors. Some like really annoying or kind of agitating neighbors can come up with this, as can new gadgets. I feel like it could be new gadgets for you, but because in your chart, Mars rules your 9th, as well as your 2nd, I feel like you're investing in learning more about money and resources, or possibly, like I said, a new language, because you might be considering moving or traveling to a far away place. So let's see what the cards have to say for you, Pisces. I feel like this is just also about making changes with your mind. You're changing your mind, and your mind feels like it's speeding up. You can have some anxiety stuff with this as well. So grounding is really important, breath work, but working with crystals, working with checking in with your body, feeling more stable and secure, going out, putting your feet in the grass, things like that, going for walks in nature, that's really going to help kind of stabilize the mind. The card that I get is the 5 of Pentacles. So this is a challenging card. It's kind of feeling like, I need some help. Who's going to help me? Whether this is help moving, help figuring out, how you're going to get places, help with transportation. I think that it's really important when this card comes up that you're not looking at life like the glass is, half empty. You have to look at it like it's half full. You have a lot to gain here, but I feel like a lot of it depends on how you're thinking about your money, how you're thinking about your resources. It's a really important time to possibly be getting into meditations and mantras and things relating to values and self-worth and abundance. Like the way that you think about money is going to shift. So maybe you're getting out of like a feeling less than mind state, or mindset, excuse me, and you're focusing more on finding stability and like really reminding yourself that you can get out of a financial crunch or a situation. It's just a matter of how you think about it. Money is an energy, right? It has to be in flow. If we're holding on to it too much, we don't allow it in. If we're spending it too freely, we can't maintain. So I think you're going to be learning about abundance and resources and how to kind of benefit your situation. Okay? Guys, I have to tell you, Godspeed, because everything that happens from this moment forward is definitely going to change everybody's life. I am sending you guys all good vibes. I'm going through it too. I've got Uranus opposed my Sun and my Mercury, and it's square my nodes. So I'm like, oh my gosh, the next month is gonna be wild. Let me know, where is it taking place in your chart? How are you feeling with these energies? Can you give other people tips and ways to be able to stay grounded? I've mentioned a few, like being out in nature, working with crystals, doing body checks, but also grounding mats are really wonderful. Working with Bach essences are great. Working with herbs that are going to calm your nervous system. But I know we have lots of people in the community that have all kinds of practices, and they have lots of stuff they can share. So if you have something that you want to share with our audience, and just like let us know, because we're all going through these transformations together. I look forward to seeing you guys later in this next week. Just a couple of heads up, we're gonna have live tarot happening on Saturday the 30th. I'll be reading cards live on the channel. That'll be at 7:00 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. All readings are by donation, so stop by if you want to spend Saturday night with us and read. If you like my channel, you can join my memberships. It's a great way to be able to support me and make it possible for me to keep bringing you guys more content. I've got several levels that are available. One of the benefits of being a level 3 is that you are going to get a reading once a month from me, and you're going to get shout outs, and you just support everything that we're putting into this channel. We're a 2-man team, so it's not just me. There's a lot of work that goes behind putting this out for you guys. And we've got the Midheaven podcast that comes out every Monday. A podcast that I do that's more kind of comedy and talking about current events with my partner in crime, the Peace Stealer. So check that out too. I've got that on my channel if you want something that's a little bit more uplifting, and we just talk about what's going on currently in the cosmos, and we have a cocktail. If you'd like to book a reading with me, I'd love to chat with you. Go ahead and check out my links below. You can find my website at beyondtheveiledtarot.com. All my availability is there. You can see the selection of all the readings that I offer. You can book something and get on my schedule. I'd love to talk with you, especially if you have any planets within 17 to 19 degrees of the fixed signs. Just know that it's not just this transit. Like I said, it will unfold over time, but you guys are the ones who need the most help. I'd love to help you. All right, guys, until next time, I'll see all of you very soon. Take care.